Before making any soap in the Khala Naturals lab, I always put on my goggles and my gloves. And then we get to the making. So I'm pouring out here olive oil, avocado, and then coconut oil, and they all go into a big pot to come up to temperature. Then meanwhile, I'm getting my water and lye solution ready. That gets measured out. It's all by weight, it's not by volume, actually. So we slowly put the lye in, we mix it up very slowly. We're very careful with this because the temperatures get very hot and the fumes that come off this, they can cause you to cough a bit. They're not too nice. So we set that aside and wait for the temperature to come down. I'm getting my additives ready. That was pumice. Here is some peppermint essential oil. And at the same time, I'm keeping an eye on those oils in the pot. And then we get everything set up. I need an immersion blender, a bowl to put everything in. These are my silicone molds. They don't need a lot of prep work, which is pretty nice, I gotta say. And now my oils are at temperature and my lye water is at temperature. So they all go into a bowl, the oils first, and then the lye water is carefully filtered in. And then I mix them in. And then we bring the stick blender in because this is the magic part. This is where the saponification happens, the reaction between the fats and the bases. And we get to a point where it looks like cake batter, and in the soap business we call that trace. Once we get there, we know it's safe to put in our essential oils and any other additives we may have. Remember, I've got my finely ground pumice here. It's a natural exfoliator, really nice in this bar of soap. And then I take my spatula and I start mixing it in, and then at the very end I just give it a couple pops with the immersion blender to make sure there's no clumps. And now we're ready to pour them into the molds. These are silicone, and they're really nice molds. They come away nicely. I've never broken a bar in these. And they're also called the farmhouse soap molds. So I grew up on a farm and I kind of like how that goes. Then just like a cake, we burp them to make sure there's no air bubbles. And then, like no other soap maker on the planet, I guarantee you, I play my yoga singing bowl over every single batch of soap I make. Khala Naturals came from my yoga background, and this is how I honor that. And then the next day I come back, they've hardened, so I take them out, I put them on the drying rack, and they are going to sit there for about 4 weeks while all the water dissipates. That way you get a nice hard bar of soap. And on this tray you also see a new batch of Sea Mist, the lavender sea salt soap, which is going to be ready at the same time. Meanwhile, I get my labels ready, I do all the design work, I do all the printing work, and then they get cut and hand wrapped by me. And that is how Buff Bar is made. KhalaNaturals.com